Okay, we're going to pick up in the foldable. As soon as we're done with the foldable, I'll walk around with tape for the review sheet. Okie dokie. It's like a old ordeal when this thing freezes. Everything shuts off. Okay, so we are on number 2.
I have been busy with other things.
Okay, you might want to have some colors. Alrighty. Okay, so it says triangle PQR with P at -2,3, Q at 3,7, and R at 7,2. You have a translation of XY going to X plus 4, Y minus 3. Now for this one, they don't give you any graph paper, correct? But remember that you have 2 ways to do stuff. You have 2 ways to do stuff. You can do stuff on graph paper. You can also do things algebraically. Most times you could do things both ways, which is what you should do. So when I say I have a translation of X plus 4, what does that mean the graph of it is doing? X plus 4 is what? To the right 4. So put a little note. Remember, these are your notes, so you should be X extra extra. So to the right 4 spaces. When you have Y minus 3, what does that mean is happening? Down 3 spaces. So we do know the graph is doing that. So if we were to graph it or had some graph paper, which you always do on OST, you can always graph it and see if that's what's happening, correct? Now since we have no graph paper, we're just going to do this one algebraically. So take all of these points and rewrite them down here just so we have a little bit of space to do some math on them. So you don't have to copy off of me, just rewrite all of these points. P is -2,3, Q is 3,7, R is 7,2. Okay, so we have our 3 points there. Now when we're gonna, basically this is telling us we're gonna add 4 to our X term and subtract 3 from our Y term. So just since we're being extra, I would grab a different color just so you can see what math you did when you quickly look at it later on in time. So that means we're gonna take our X coordinate, which happens to be -2, correct? And we're gonna plus 4 on that. And then we're gonna subtract 3 on the Y. And remember, we have to do that with every single one of our points because we're moving all of the points, so that way we move the whole shape exactly the same. So we're going to plus 4 on this and -3 on that, plus 4 on this and -3 on that. And then we just simply need to do a little adding and subtracting to get our new points. I would definitely add this so you remember what you did. Okay. Yeah, these are all little mathy problems, correct? Okay, so what do we call our new point P? P prime. So P with a little prime symbol. Okay, what are our new coordinates going to be when we add 4 and subtract 3? 2, 0. Okay. That's our point P prime. Now our Q prime. What are we going to get for Q prime? 7, 4. Bless you. Our R prime is going to be 11 and -1. And if we were taking a test and we had graph paper, we would probably plot these and just double check, right? Do them both ways. Questions on that kind? Okay, scrolling. Okay, number 3 says, what translation was performed on trapezoid A, B, C, D? Use all notations. So we're going to practice all the notations on the front of your foldable. So when we look at this picture, is the right one or the left one our original?
Right.
Okay, so this guy's our pre. I'm going to write pre on this. I would always recommend you do that because that way you always remember to start from that guy. Because if you accidentally start the other way, all your stuff's going to be backwards and wrong, right? So just take a second. And how do we know that that was the pre? No little primes, no little ticky marks by all of the letters, correct? Okay, so in order to see how he moved, you can pick any point you want. So pick one of the points. Which one do you want to do? What? A? Okay, so I'm going to count from A. Okay, so everyone get their pen on A. And we need to travel to A prime. Now remember, when you do translations, literally when you do every single thing in the world except slope, you always do the x first and the y second. Slope is the only thing that's rise over run. Everything else is running and rising, right? So we need to go from A. Let's go across first. How many spaces do we need to go? Count your bubbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bubbles. Okay, is that in the positive 6 direction or the negative 6 direction? Negative. That's negative, so negative 6. Okay, then what? Up 1, 2, 3. So we are rising 3. Is that positive 3 or negative 3? Positive 3. Okay, you guys good? Check your positive negatives. You know that that's where people make mistakes. Okay, so we know that he goes negative 6 backwards and positive 3 up. So flip to the front of your foldable. Let's do all the notations. So what's the first notation called? Vector. And what does a vector look like? Pointy little parentheses?
Yeah.
Okay, and then how would we put them in there?
Negative 6 and then 36.
Negative 6 and a comma?
Yeah.
Negative 6, comma 3. That is vector notation. That's one way to write our answer. What's the next one? It's on the same line.
It's
Look at the front of your foldable. What
negative 6.
component? So that looks like a big tall bracket, and we put the negative 6 and then the 3 under it. Oopsie, no fraction bar. It's just like a habit. Negative 6, 3. No fraction bar. I accidentally wrote fraction bar. Okay? What's another way to write it? Go down the list. Look at the fronts. Verbal. Somebody give me words. Translate. Translate 6 units left and 3 units up. Got it? That's our words. Okay, what's the next way to write it? Huh? With a big T. And you don't need that extra junk after necessarily. You can just do the big T. And then down low in subs is negative 6, comma 3. And you can just leave it just like that. You don't need the extra junk that you see after that necessarily. What's the last way to write it? Coordinate form. That means, what does coordinate form look like? X, Y first. And then a little arrow. How many of you guys know this already without looking at the front? Arrow what? What's next? Parenthesis. X minus 6. Comma. Y. What? Plus 3. And then close your parentheses. It looks like a point and a point, right? Here's your point right here. X, comma, Y, parentheses. And here's your point here. All they did was put plus or minus whatever they did on it. You know what I mean? That is all your notations. Cool on doing it different ways. Because you know they're going to throw all the different ones at you. So you just got to know they all mean the same thing. Cool? Okay, let's look at the next one. So we have a translation that maps the origin. What's that? The start, which is what? 0, 0. Okay, let's put 0, 0 by this. So the origin is 0, 0. So it says we have a translation that maps 0, 0 to the point negative 2, 4. So it says you're taking 0, 0. I'm going to put him on the graph. He's right here. I'm taking 0, 0, and moving them to where? -2, +4. Okay, so I have the 0, 0, and he's moving to -2, +4. So how is he moving? How would you describe that movement? It's a translation where? To the left. Okay, so put down a little note. You're going left 2, and what else? Up 4. Okay, so this translation is left 2, up 4. So that's what's happening. You're going left 2 and up 4. That is a statement, right? Blah, 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 period. Okay, so let's move to the next part. It says, what is the image? Is the image the first one or the second one? Yep. What is the image of the point -5, 3 under the same translation? Okay, so I'm going to get a new color, and I'm going to find where -5, 3 is. -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive 1, 2, 3. So he's that red guy right there. So I need him to do the exact same thing. So that my red guy has to move like how? Left 2 and up 4. So take this guy and move him left 2 and up 4. And he ends up here. Yeah? Is that where he's at? Okay, what are the coordinates of that guy so we can answer it? What, comma, what? -7, comma 7. Okay, someone double check that. -7, 7. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, -7, comma 7. That is our answer. Okay. Cool? Questions? Some people like skip over that word origin. Make sure when you read stuff, you just do little word by word and ask yourself what's happening. You should not have phones anywhere, period. Okay, look at number 5. We have A prime, B prime, C prime is the image of ABC, which we already knew that, right? After a translation in the coordinate plane. Write a coordinate rule for this translation. Okay, so we have some points here. So you have to ask yourself what has happened to the points. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to look at it and see if you can come up with an answer. A coordinate rule, so it's got to be in coordinate notation of what happened from this point moving to that point. Write down what you think. Okay, so what do you guys think has happened to the x coordinate? So if you look at this x to this x, what has happened? You -2. Now, before you think -2, check the other ones and see if it's also true. Did you take 5 -2 and get 3? Did you take 3 and -2 and get 1? So it works, right? So the x is x -2. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened to the Y's? You went from 4 to 12. What did you do? Added 8. So the Y is what? Y plus 8. Okay, and if you put this in coordinate notation, it looks like that. And what do we need in the front of this over here to the left? X comma Y with a little arrow. Did you write it correctly? Yeah? Questions? Okay, go underneath there. This one is a U try, so try number 6. Try number 6. It's not as complicated as it looks. This is also an OST release question.